Okay, so like it is so traditional for us, we would like to say shalom to the world,
Hello.
because this is a great, great meeting of a lot of countries. We are really very, very excited with this reunion of MASHAV graduates of this such a special year. Huh? We have here together the agricultural experts, and we have the educators, and we have the specialists in gender, in entrepreneurship, and health. So it is a great pleasure to have you all here with us in this special day. From here, from Israel, we have in Jerusalem, MASHAV staff. So hello to Jerusalem, and also the people from the ETC, the Aaron Ofri Center. Hello, Jerusalem. And we have the people from Haifa in the north of the country, the people from the Golda Meir Center. So hello, Haifa.
Oh, hello.
And we have the people here in Shfaim,
Hello.
Agricultural Center. So our staff here, hello to everybody in Shfaim. And here, coordinating with you, Ora, and myself here, I am Evelyn. Hi. So, I would like to invite Ambassador Einat Schlein as the head of MASHAV to welcome all us. Please, Einat.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. And good morning, good day, good evening. It is great to see you all joining us from all over the world. It is actually exciting to see names of countries from Africa. You know, I've seen Ghana and Botswana and Angola and Nigeria and Kenya and people in Azerbaijan and Nepal and India. And all of these places, which I'm just missing now, of course, in Europe, in Serbia, and in Albania. And I'm sure I missed a few, so you'll have to forgive me. But it is wonderful to see your smiling faces around. Shalom to you all from Jerusalem. I'm really glad to be here with you today and to take part in this virtual meeting of MASHAV graduates of this year. You know, since MASHAV was established, which is more than 62 years ago, we worked very hard to invest ourselves and all of our efforts in the most important resource that any nation has, which is the human resource. We invested all of our effort, and we still do so, in our students, which are the most important resource for every country. Other countries may use different methods. Maybe they're blessed with bigger and much more generous assistance budgets than we do, but we don't want just to give assistance and aid. That is very important, but as the cliche says, we don't want to give people fish. We want to teach them how to fish them. So we want to invest in people, the people that are the building stones of a society which build the future of their own countries. So throughout their lives, I believe this is a kind of an investment that gives you the best yield. 2020 is a very extraordinary year. It is special, it is unique, it is sad. We've seen a lot this year. This pandemic changed our life in a very fundamental way. It's also personally, you know, we don't travel, we don't hug our parents, we don't do all the things that we're used to do. And everything that we do professionally, all our work has changed significantly as well. And there are lots of unexpected and even sad changes. But for me, one of the the hardest ones is the fact that this pandemic set physical boundaries between us. There is no access. It's really hard to travel into various countries. And that is a shame, you know, as diplomats, we're trying to abolish these borders, and here the pandemic set them again. So immediately as the pandemic broke, we in MASHAV, we tried to find ways to reconnect, and we immediately diverted all of our efforts into two major areas of concentration. One is humanitarian assistance, which we provided all over the world to fight the pandemic, and then we've transformed all of our efforts, all of our work to the virtual world. And we learned on our feet, you know, we couldn't have anything to lean on. We had to reinvent ourselves in many ways. And one thing that and everything that we do now with you, of course, as you know well, is virtual, just like this meeting. We miss the human contact. We miss seeing you. We miss this beautiful cultural exchange, which is a main characteristic of the MASHAV courses, whether we have them in Israel or that, you know, we come and visit you abroad. Unfortunately, it's impossible this year, but we were able to preserve our capabilities and to continue working to promote the core of our mission, which is capacity building. And the meeting today is really a testimony to this. So what should I say? You're about to embark in a virtual tour to Jerusalem. I would really wish to have each and every one of you in Jerusalem today. You know, the sun is shining, it's blue skies outside my window. You would have loved it. But alas, you know, this is what we have this year. I want to wish us all that next year will be better. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I wish us all that next year we could celebrate together and meet here, either here in Jerusalem or in your countries. Thank you, shalom, and goodbye from Jerusalem.
Thank you so much, Einat. Thank you so much. And your words should come true. Okay, now, everybody prepared? Well, first of all, I would like to introduce you the most important person of this meeting, which is our great and nice guide, Joe Nakkar. Joe used to be part of our staff here in Shroud some years ago. And now he is a tourist guide, and lots of our groups are walking with him through Israel, not only Jerusalem, but through Israel. But today we are doing it in Jerusalem. First of all, we would like to thank Joe very much, because it is a challenge. It is really a challenge for you, we know. And we want also to thank very much Yuval, because they both, I have to tell you, it's a secret, okay? But they both went to Jerusalem and had the wonderful videos. And this is part of what we are going to see today. So thank you, both of you. Okay, and with this said, before I give you the mic, you are all invited to use the chat for questions, okay? Probably we will read them at the end of the walk, okay? So use it and write there your question, please. So, dear Joe, we are ready.
Okay.
To go to Jerusalem.
Like this? Well, good afternoon. I normally do a physical tour whereby I take people physically face to face And this time it's going to be as if like I'm standing in the United Nations, you know, talking to many people. So welcome again to Israel and the walk through Jerusalem. First of all, I'd like to start this tour with hang on a second, with the map of Israel. Israel, I don't know, some of you maybe you've been here before, but Israel is it's a minute little country. It's not so big. It's surrounded by Egypt. This is the Sinai Desert over here. We have the Mediterranean on this side. We have also Lebanon over there in the north. This is the border with Lebanon, and then we have Syria on this side, and then we have also Jordan on this side. Those of you who share with us what we call the Syrian African Rift, you can see we share the same Syrian African Rift, and that goes, it's a crack in the crust of the earth, and it goes all the way down. It started actually sort of, you know, it goes into Lebanon, it goes into Israel. This is the Sea of Galilee, and it goes all the way down into the Dead Sea, which is a part of the Syrian African Rift, and then all the way down to Africa. For those of you who live in Kenya and in Ethiopia, you know, we share the same valley. This part here, you can see this is the Golan Heights, and this is here what we call today the West Bank. The West Bank, simply, it's on the west side of the River Jordan. The River Jordan has tributaries. It goes into the Sea of Galilee, and then it leaves. This is the Upper Jordan here. It leaves the Sea of Galilee, and it goes all the way to the Dead Sea. And now we are right here, and this little bit here. This is Jerusalem. So now we're going to move, and we're going to be standing on top of the Mount of Olives. Oh, sorry. This is the Mount of Olives, is here in this area, and we are looking over the old city of Jerusalem. This is the good old walls of Jerusalem. These are Turkish walls. We will see it a little bit later. We're standing right here, and we are looking in this direction. So what we did today, we're going to show you little movies, little clips of me standing there talking as if you guys are with us. And if there's any questions at the very end, then we can talk about it. So I'm going to start with the first movie. Okay, we are. All these are graves, and these are Jewish graves. And for the Jews, it's a privilege to be buried on the Mount of Olives, because there's a belief that when the Moshiach will come, Moshiach meaning Messiah in English, when Moshiach will come, they will be the first ones to arise. And by the way, the word Messiah, it comes from the word Moshiach in Hebrew, and the word Moshiach in Hebrew comes from the word Mishcha, which means like a cream, like an ointment. So when people say Messiah, it means the anointed one. Okay, now, what we're looking at now, we're looking right in front of us. We're looking at Mount Moriah. You can see this is the mount. And on top of this mount, exactly where the Dome of the Rock, the one with the golden dome, there is a rock. And Jewish belief says when Abraham came with his son Isaac, he was going to sacrifice his son Isaac on that rock. And you know the story, the rest of the story. He was stopped just to prove the fact that he's a great believer in God, and he stopped sacrificing his son Isaac. And on that particular location, this is the place where the first temple was built. The first temple was built by King Solomon. Now let's talk about timeline. King David, who was the father of King Solomon, ruled at approximately around 1004 BC. His son Solomon came after him about 15-20 years later, and he built this beautiful temple, as you can read about it in the Bible, with gold and cedar trees, and wood came from Lebanon, and special craftsmen, etc. This temple stood there until the year 586 BC, and this is when we had the Babylonians. They came all the way from Babylon. As you probably know, Babylon today is in Iraq. They destroyed the temple and they took the Jews to Babylon. In the year 538, there was a change of government. It was the Persians who came and took over Babylon, and the king's name is Cyrus. And Cyrus said, you guys, you can go back and you can rebuild this temple. So they came back and they rebuilt this temple. It wasn't a very nice temple, but it was a temple. It was a functional temple, but very simple, nowhere compared to Solomon's temple. This temple lasted for a while until the year 333 BC. I'm still BC, and this is, we had an invasion from the Greeks, Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great, he brought with him Greek language, Greek culture, and the Jews were using this language, and they even gave names to their children, like Alexander, for instance, which is not really a Jewish name, but it's a Greek name. And life continued with this temple under the rule of the Hellenistic, is what we call Hellenistic, the Greek, until you get into the 164 BC, and this is the time when the Greeks decided to put statues in the temple, and this is the time when the Jews rebelled against the Greeks and kicked them all out. And normally we celebrate this in the month of December, which is a few days ago in this month, and we were under the control of another dynasty, a Jewish dynasty called the Maccabees, or the Hashmonean dynasty. Life continued with this until the year 70, just before, actually, in fact, 64 BC, where an empire was born in Europe called the Roman Empire, and we were under the Roman control at the time. But during that period, and this was really, really important, during that period, we had a king, a very famous king. His name is King Herod the Great. King Herod the Great, he was a madman who decided to kill his wife and kill his sons, and I don't want to elaborate on this deal. But he also wasn't a very nice towards the Jews, and all of a sudden he decided that he needs to be nice to the Jews, and he decided to, what we call, to rebuild the second temple. Now this is the interesting part. I'd like you to look at the mountain. You can see it's a platform, okay? And at that time it used to be the biggest platform in the world. So what he did, in fact, now I want you to all look at my head, and there you are, and imagine this is the mountain, and he decided to build the platform, and the platform is like this. So he built a wall. Now I'm going to stand like this so you can look at my head and look at the Temple Mount. He built the wall. You can all see the wall. The wall is like this, and then he built a wall to support the platform, which is the eastern wall, and then he built a southern wall, northern wall, and another wall on the other side, which we call today the western wall. And on top of that platform, he built the temple. Okay, now we're going to move into the second movie, another clip, and we will see a little diagram of this, an artist's impression of how the temple really looked like at the time. Oops, sorry, I mistake. There it is. I'll start the movie. Now I have a diagram here of how the temple looked like at the time. So if you look at this corner here, in this diagram, you will see the corner there in reality, just there. And you can see right next to it, you can see also some stairs leading up to the southern wall, and these were the stairs at the time. Okay? And people entered from these gates, what we call the double gate and the triple gate. They came in and they came out here in order to do a sacrifice at the temple. In those days there was sacrifice, and the prayers eventually replaced the sacrifice. Now, the Romans continued until the year 66 AD, and this is the time when the Jews rebelled against the Romans, and it took something like 4 years. By the year 70, the Romans had a special army led by a man called Titus. Titus came and burned Jerusalem to the ground and burned the temple to the ground, and that is the end of the Israelite rule in Jerusalem and also in the Holy Land at the time. The Romans continued until the year 323, and this is the time when we call the Byzantines. Byzantine meaning Christianity. Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire, and it was the Emperor Constantine who decided on this, and his mother Helena came to Jerusalem and came to Bethlehem, and she built a few churches, and the Byzantine started in the year 323 AD, and it continued until the 7th century, around 638, and this is the time when we had the Muslim rule. The Muslim rule started with the Prophet Muhammad. After Muhammad, he had few caliphates, and the second caliphate, his name is Umar ibn al-Khattab. Umar ibn al-Khattab, he arrived to Jerusalem and he stood on that mountain with the two antennas. See it over there? The two antennas, and he shouted the cry, the Muslim cry, Allahu Akbar, and this is why it's called Jabal al-Mukabbar until the present day. And that village down at the bottom is also called Al-Mukabbar village until the present day. Umar ibn al-Khattab, he entered Jerusalem and he asked, where is the rock? And he was shown the rock. We have to remember that in the 7th century, this platform was all in ruins. So on top of this rock, he decided that this is the place where the Prophet Muhammad went up to heaven to pray with the prophets, and he came back, and it was the flight to Mecca. And it's mentioned in the Quran in the surah called the Surah wal Mi'raj. And this is what it says he came from the nearest mosque to the furthest mosque, and it's the furthest mosque in Arabic meaning Al-Aqsa. So at the very end of that 7th century, beginning of the 8th century, the dynasty who was ruling at the time, known as the Umayyad dynasty, they constructed this mosque. You can see it with the grey dome, and this is called Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the other one is called the Dome of the Rock, or Qubbat al-Sakhra in Arabic. The blue tiles did not exist. The blue tiles was added by the Turks, and the gold is added by the Jordanian government last century. After the Umayyad came another dynasty called the Abbasid from Iraq. After that, the Fatimid from Egypt, and this lasted until the 11th century. This is the time when we had liberators from mainly from France, known as the Crusaders. The Crusaders, they came and they ruled here for approximately 200 years. With a break in the middle, they were kicked out by Salah ad-Din, but at the time when they came, the first half, let's say, Jerusalem was the capital. The second half, Akko became their capital. After that, it was a special people imported from around Uzbekistan area, and they were converted to Islam, and they became slaves, but they became also warriors, known as the Mamluks. And the Mamluks, it was them who kicked the Crusaders out from this land, and they ruled for approximately 250 years. Until 1517, and then another big empire was ruling this part of the world, known as the Ottoman Empire. And they came and they ruled here for 4 centuries, and that took us from 1517 till 1917, and this is the end of World War I, and the British Mandate came and they ruled until 1948, when Israel had its independence.
So now we're going to move to the next film. It's basically, this is the introduction of all the periods we had. And I was going to go and start from the time of Abraham, which I did in a way, and until the present day. But now there is going to be another movie, just a continuation about how where Jesus was born and where he moved, and also on his final days. And this is coming up on the next film. I think it's this one.
Okay, we are standing on the Mount of Olives. As you can see,
this one.
Jesus was born in Bethlehem, and if we look in this direction, you will see this mountain at the top, and with the 2 antennas, this is Bethlehem. He was born in Bethlehem, and then he grew up in Nazareth up to the age of 30, and he started his mission. He's acquiring his disciples. So he wasn't accepted in Nazareth, and then he traveled from Nazareth all the way to the Sea of Galilee, and he stayed in a place called Capernaum. And this is the time when he did his mission again for 3 years. At the age of 33, he left the Sea of Galilee. He traveled along the Jordan Valley all the way down towards the Dead Sea, and then from the Dead Sea he climbed all the way to the Mount of Olives. And just there on that place, exactly where there is a church with a great dome, this is the place where he stood, and he looked over Jerusalem and he cried, and the church's name is called Dominus Flavit, meaning the Lord cries. He entered Jerusalem from these blocked gates known as the Golden Gates, or Sha'ar al-Rachamim in Hebrew, and then he came into the area of the temple, and he stayed there. He stayed there from the Sunday known today as the Palm Sunday, until Thursday night. Thursday night it was the Last Supper, and the Last Supper took place exactly where that mount called Mount Zion. You can see there's a tower with a great dome church next to it. There is a place called the Last Supper. He did the Last Supper. After the Last Supper, he came down all the way down the hill into the Kidron Valley. He walked along the Kidron, until he get into the Gethsemane. Hopefully we'll be able to look at this Gethsemane later on. We will see this great domes, and there Jesus prayed, and there he was kissed by Judas, and there he was arrested by the Romans. They took him all the way back, and he was kept in what's known today as the house of Caiaphas. And if you look, you can see there's a church with a great dome and an arch between the trees. There he was kept in a broken, old, empty water system. Friday morning, he was taken out back into a place known as the Antonia Fortress, and there he was judged by Pontius Pilate, and he was given the cross, and then he was carried until he get into, you see, if you look at the distance, you will see 2 great domes, and the 2 great domes is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and this is the location of the crucifixion. So if you very quickly, we can have a look at this. This is the Antonia Fortress in here, and this is where he was judged by Pontius Pilate. and this is the route he took, like this, all the way, and then he came out, and he was crucified above this rock, and this rock today is inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and hopefully we'll be able to see it later on.
Okay, this map you just noticed just now. This is the map. This is how Jerusalem looked like at the time. Just before, they say this is the map of Jerusalem just before the destruction in the year 70 AD. So now we're gonna have another movie, just general view, and I will go over it physically. I know what's going on.
Jesus was born.
Here it is. Okay.
This
This is you can see the sites. This is the Dominus Flavit over here. This is where Jesus stood. It actually means the Lord cries in Latin. This is another church, is known as the Maria Magdalena. It's a Russian Orthodox church. This church here is St. Stephen's. By the way, this church here, the Maria Magdalena, there's a little story about it. The mother of the Duke of Edinburgh, the husband of Queen Elizabeth of England, she is buried in this church because he comes from Greek origin. So let's continue. Again, we are looking onto the Eastern Wall, and this is the Golden Gate over here. It's blocked. This is a Muslim cemetery on this side. Down here is the Kidron Valley. We're going to be there and on the next shot. The Dome of the Rock. This is just general overview. Church of the Holy Sepulchre, Al-Aqsa Mosque, and all the background you see over there with the cranes and everything. This is what we call the modern Jerusalem, Western Jerusalem, West Jerusalem. This is the southern wall over here, and the Mount Zion, a very, very important landmark where the Last Supper took place. And in the distance here, again, we're looking at Bethlehem. Again, this is Jewish graves because we're standing on the Mount of Olives. Okay. Now we're gonna move on. There's something, while we were there filming, myself and Yuval, there was a little celebration, and this celebration known as the bar mitzvah. In the Jewish tradition, when a boy reaches the age of 13, they do a little celebration. It's called the bar mitzvah, and for a girl, it's called the bat mitzvah at the age of 12. And it so happens, it's a nice little area where a little family will celebrate this this occasion. So now this is what you're going to see on the next movie. Oh, no, this is not. Sorry. There you go. You see balloons, the blue and white balloons, and it looks like Israel white. This is the kind of music that we're singing on the happy occasion. What I would like to also show you is this little instrument here. This is known as the shofar, and the shofar is an old biblical instrument. It was used at the time of the temple to indicate festivities, beginning of festivities, to indicate the beginning of the new month. But surprisingly, you can see until today, it's used in a very special occasions like
Joe.
Yeah. What?
Before we go on to the Church of Gethsemane, I want to tell you, people are super happy. They feel like they are there.
Yes. Thank you. That's great. Thank you. And it's a happy Bar Mitzvah occasion on a nice sunny day. Thank you.
Let's go on.
Okay. 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 Let's go back to this. This is the Church of the Gethsemane. It's a modern church. It was built in the 1930s, 1937, by a very famous, I'm going to stop here, a very famous architect, Antonio Berlucci is Italian. A beautiful church. It's a Roman Catholic church. And here you can see right in the front, you see Jesus in the middle. These are the commoners over here. These are the wise people over here. And here we have 4 pillars indicating the Gospels, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. And inside the church, it's very, very dark. And also they keep silence. There is a rock, and they believe, the belief is that on this rock is where Jesus prayed, with his disciples. Sorry, I'll move. I'll just move on. Okay. This sits really at the very bottom of the Kidron Valley, at the bottom of the. It's like on the Kidron Valley, which is at the bottom of the Mount of Olives. This is the Mount of Olives over here. And this is the Maria Magdalena Church, a Russian Orthodox church. And we are looking into, we're going to move in a minute, in a few seconds, we're going to move into the Kidron Valley. This is what we saw from the top. And this is the Eastern Wall. And that's the corner of the Eastern Wall, all the way, all the way, all the way. And then here we will see we can see the Golden Gates, close-up of the Golden Gates. This is as close as you can get. Just a little bit further on this side, we see another, it's a Greek Orthodox church known as the St. Stephen's. Yeah, that will be the Kidron side. Okay, so now we're going to move, and we're going to move into the southern wall. They will see 3 different clips of the southern wall, 3 different locations, not far from each other, and we'll talk about it. No, before we go to the southern wall, these trees are the trees in the yard of the Gethsemane. And by the way, the Gethsemane, the word Gethsemane is it comes from the Hebrew Gat Shmanim, and Gat Shmanim in Hebrew means an oil press. Oil press, what oil? Olive oil. And you can see these trees, they estimate these trees are around 900, between 900, could be even 1,000 years old. But not quite 2,000 euros, but it's a nice thought to have very, very, very old trees like this. Look at the size of this trunk, and this size of this trunk, and also this one here. This is in the yard of the Gethsemane, and this is the path here. This is the path, and this is basically how you enter the church. There you go. The Gethsemane yard. Okay. Now we're moving to the southern wall. Sorry. Why this is not working? Okay. Now we are moving to the southern wall. Okay.
We just moved, we were standing right there on the Mount of Olives, exactly where that bus is. And now we moved on the other side, so now we are facing east. Well, you're looking at the whole, practically the whole of the cemetery, the Jewish cemetery, the very old Jewish cemetery at the Mount of Olives. Right in the distance, you can see the Gethsemane. I will explain, the Gethsemane comes from the word Gat Shmani, meaning an oil press. And at the very top over there, you can see the Russian Orthodox Church, the Maria Magdalena, And between the trees over there, we can see the Dominus Flavit over there. But what's so interesting to see today, in addition to these old graves, is a very, very impressive graves here dated back from around the First Temple period.
I just stopped the explanation because there's a background noise. It was the time of the prayers, you know, because we have so many mosques also in Jerusalem. So yeah, these are the old graves. We saw it from the top, but I would like you to take notice also of these graves here. This is like a very old family grave. It dates back from the time of the First Temple period, and also these little holes over there. In fact, if you walk around the Kidron a little bit further and you go all the way, even it stretches all the way towards this end, you will see old holes like this, and these are the good old Jewish graves dated back from the time of the temple. They found these graves. They found even old Hebrew writing on them, all along this Kidron. It's always, cemeteries are always on the eastern side of the city, so we are looking sort of east. This is the direction, in this direction. Okay, so now we're going to move into the next angle from the southern wall. This is not working. Okay, let's go. This is again, this is the southern wall. You can see this is the close-up of the triple gates. We saw it on my diagram, and this is the corner. And by the way, all these rocks and stones, and the stones, actually the building stones, that bottom part up to about this level, this is what we believe is the original wall constructed by King Herod. So from around here all the way up to the top, this is the reconstruction when the Ottoman Empire came, and they built it up to the top. But this is the original Herodian stones. They're huge, big stones. You're looking at about 450 to 500 kilos each. The stones. I don't know how they lift them. It's an incredible engineering work. So yeah, all that is the southern wall. You can just about see here the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Okay, now we're going to go into the other clip. I don't know why this is not. Yeah, here we are. Let's see if the quality is good.
We're standing on the southern wall of the platform. The Mount of Olives is just over there. You can still see the tombs. And that wall, that's the corner. And then from this corner stretches, and it goes beyond that wall. This is the Turkish Wall. It became a part of the city walls built by the Turks in the 16th century. And right at the very top, we can see the dome of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. But what's so interesting is a couple of things. We can see the stairs. You see the remains of the stairs just there, the original stairs that led all the way up into the temple during the temple period. And over here, we can see the triple gates. You can see the triple gates is actually all blocked. And if we move a little bit to the left, very gradually, very slowly, we can see a little arch just over there. And this is really one of the double gate, and they used to be here at the time of the temple. All the ruins we see here is a complex of ruins dated back from the First Temple period, which is a lot of mikvahs, which is like a ritual bath at the time, because for the Jews it's very important to have a ritual bath. You have to be pure before you enter the temple.
Okay, the word is mikveh, which is a ritual bath. And there's a very famous site also in Israel called Qumran, where a group of people, of Jews who lived there at the time, who wrote what's known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. And they discovered many mikvahs in this area. And today when in archaeology or archaeologists, they discover a new ruin, if they see a mikveh, it's like a bath dug into the ground normally with 7 steps to go inside. They know immediately that this used to be a Jewish village. from the ruins they discovered. Now we're moving on. We are going to enter the old city. So the next movie is right in front of Jaffa Gate. Now, sometimes, okay, that's it.
Okay, we're standing in front of one of the main gates in the old city. This one is called Jaffa Gate. Again, these walls and the gate was constructed during the Ottoman period in the 16th century by a sultan. His name is Suleiman the Magnificent. But so what's so interesting about this particular gate is you can see it's been breached. Right next to it, the walls have been breached, and they made a special passage for cars to go into the old city, one-way system. And this was breached at the time when we had a visitor, a very important visitor from Germany, Wilhelm II, in 1898. And for his honor, they broke the wall, they breached the wall, so he will be entering the city on his little carriage and without walking. We're going to go inside now, and then we're going to be inside the old city. We will visit the Jewish quarter and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Okay,
so
this is, as I said, this is one of the main gates. Very popular gate, Jaffa Gate. The reason why it's called Jaffa, it's because they say it's facing Jaffa. It also has an Arabic name called Bab al-Khalil in Arabic. Al-Khalil is Hebron. So it actually has two names. Some of the gates in Israel, they actually have three different names, like Damascus Gate. It has Damascus Gate in English, Shechem in Hebrew, and Bab al-Amud in Arabic, which means the pillar gate. So it's different gates, different names. So now we're going to enter and we're going to walk through the old city. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. We are walking into the old city, and this is one of the main streets. It leads into Jaffa Gate. You can see some of the shops, some of the souvenir shops. A couple of police. It's a police lady and policeman. Obviously, they knew those people. But the sad thing, if you notice, apart from like walking with a mask, but if you notice, you can see these stores are shut simply because tourism is down, and for them it was absolutely no point to open, and they just shut down. You can see a few shops and very few people walking into the old city. We don't have the same amount of tourism. We had last year, we had something like 4 million visitors last year in 2019, but this year it's been a pandemic year, unfortunately. Okay, so now we're going to move on into the Holy Sepulchre. I can't get it right this one. Okay, here we are. There is a background noise, so I'm going to stop because I tried this film before and there was so much noise in the background, so I'm going to do it live. So here we go. We're standing ready. This is the Holy Sepulchre. That's the entrance to the Holy Sepulchre. But all the architecture you see here is really from the time of the Crusaders. If you came here in 2019, all this area would be packed full with people. There'll be people coming into this gate, in and out, packed. And as you can see now, we are really the only ones. This is another small little chapel attached to the Holy Sepulchre, and it has what's known as station number 11. The Holy Sepulchre itself, it was constructed much earlier, constructed when Helena came in 323 AD. So inside the church, you see some ruins dated back from that period. But then, because in the 7th century, 8th century, many fires and many destructions. So this is like the latest one. And this is what you're looking at now is the Crusaders. It's really from the 11th century. And basically what they did, they shrunk, they made the church much smaller. And the stone, the rock on top of which where Jesus was crucified is used to be exposed to the elements. But now it's actually contained inside the church. Unfortunately, there's so much noise going on, and this is why I blocked it. Now, the inside the church, I don't know whether you know about the stations of what's known as the Stations of the Cross. Stations of the Cross, there's actually 14 different stations. We will hear about it a bit later on, but inside the church there are actually 6 different orders, 6 different Christian orders, and this is the Ethiopian. The Ethiopian is here. That's the entrance to the Ethiopian church. There's the Greek Orthodox. There's the Armenian, the Syrian Jacobian, and the Catholic, and the Armenians. So 6 different orders share this church. So now we're going to go inside. Inside, I'm going to have to talk on some films because they respect the silence, and I have to be very, very quiet. It didn't come out well, so now I'm going to do it in real life. So now we're going to move inside the church, and we're going to be standing on top of the rock where the crucifixion took place. Okay, let's go. Okay, you see now inside I had to wear a mask. As this is really the site of the crucifixion. Here is the rock. You can see the rock. It's covered with the glass, and here this is the cross and the 2 ladies. Maria Magdalena and Mary, the mother of Jesus, they were present. And normally, as a rule, also when we're really busy with people, when you come up here, all this area is packed full with people, and people queuing one after the other, because the queue goes all the way, it goes behind this chair and all the way to the other side, in order to kneel down and touch the stone. There's a little hole underneath the altar where you can actually physically touch the rock. And this is here is station number 12. Station number 12 is where the crucifixion took place. This is the general outlook of this. By the way, this part here belongs to the Greek Orthodox. And right next to it, just right where I'm standing now, in front of me is the Catholic. As you can see, we're on top of the rock, because that's the bottom part here. I'd like you also to notice this. This is actually very, very interesting mosaics. I'm going to stop it for a second. Very interesting mosaic showing something really from the good Old Testament. This is Abraham, and this is Isaac, sacrificing Isaac, and you can see he's got a dagger in his hand, and the angel telling him, stop, don't do it. And he had to sacrifice a ram who was caught in the thickets. It's an indication of a sacrifice, and it's to represent how Jesus sacrificed, his life for our sins. This is another station. This is the station number 11. This is where he was laid on the cross and nailed on the cross. And this part here, this is the Catholic part. This is the Catholic altar over here. And now we're going to move back, and we're going to move into the crucifixion site over here. All the mosaics you see here, it's fairly new. It's been all renovated and done in the 16th century. There is a little bit left from the time of the Crusaders. Here, just here, I'm going to stop it here. This is station number 13, because Jesus was taken down from the cross and he was given to his mother. His mother held him. And this is represented, you can see with the box, with Mary and a dagger in her heart, is the sorrow, the pain she endured having her son crucified. So that's the station number 13. And station number 14, and the last one, is the burial. That's the tomb. And this is, we're going to be able to see it later on today. Okay. Now we're gonna go down. We go down to the not far from this area. We're gonna see the anointing. Anointing, it means it's a Jewish tradition until today. When the deceased is cleaned, is washed, and it's wrapped with a shroud, and it's taken to burial. It's also a tradition today that we don't actually use a coffin. It's actually the body is buried without a coffin. In Europe, there are certain laws. You know, you have to use a very thin wood coffin, but in Israel, no coffin is used. Now we're going to go into the other part here. Okay. Let's see if I can. I think that this one is better with the.
Jesus was on the cross. He was crucified outside the city walls, and you can see here the city walls on the outside. And he was crucified with 2 thieves. He died on the cross, and you can see he was taken down from the cross, and then he came and he was
I'm gonna talk. Yeah, he was taken down and he was laid on this location. This is known as the anointing stone. It's again, the stone is not the original. It is a gift from a Bulgarian queen. But pilgrims, as you can see, the 2 ladies here, it's the known fact. They feel that this is the location where Jesus' body was laid. So there's energy. And the fact that our energy, what they do is they take their souvenirs and they rub their souvenirs on the stone to gain this energy. And by going back to their homes, to their countries, they can give it as gifts, as presents, and they can say, I have put this cross or this souvenir on top of the anointing stone. Here you go. You see, he was taken down from the cross. This is the Greek Orthodox, by the way, and he was laid here on the stone. You can see this anointing oil. They're taking out the nails. And then now we're going to go back, and you can see the 2 ladies coming to touch the stone, say a little prayer. People come with loads and loads of souvenirs, and they literally rub it on that stone to get the energy, to absorb the energy. You know, she's praying. You can see the church is really empty. Normally, this, again, I say it again, this church is normally packed full with thousands of people every day. Here you go. You can see she's rubbing the souvenirs on the stone. Okay. Then we go back into this mosaics, and we can see how Jesus was wrapped in a shroud. So it's coming up in a minute, and he was taken to burial. Here you go. This is the shroud and the burial. The burial is really like a niche hewn into the mountain, and it's in the same location, exactly the same location where the church is built. There is a grave, and we're gonna see it in a few minutes from now. Okay, let's move on. So the next is is the holy fire.
This is known as the Holy Fire,
I'm gonna
and this is something celebrated by the
maybe
Orthodox.
better.
On the Saturday after
The Holy
Good Friday,
Fire, on the Friday is the Easter Friday. The Greek Orthodox celebrates something called the Holy Fire. The Holy Fire is celebrated on the Saturday, whereby the Patriarch of Jerusalem will enter the tomb. This is the tomb. Yeah, the door is here. We will see it up close in a few minutes. He will enter and he will pray and he will come out with fire. And they keep the fire going all the time. So you can also notice here, for instance, you see this lady, she's got these candles. These candles are 33 candles. It represents the age of Christ when he was crucified. And this fire is placed in a special container. It goes to Ben Gurion Airport, our national airport, and they fly it all the way to Athens. And this is the grave. And now we're going to be going and we're going to sort of talk about it. So let's move into the next movie. Okay, here you go.
This is what you're looking at now is the tomb. And at the time when Helena, the mother of Constantine, came to Jerusalem, this was like a little hill, like a little mountain, nothing, with a hole inside it, and that was the grave. She decided to remove part of it, and she put a monument on top. This is not the original monument. This is a replica of the original monument, because the first one was burnt. And inside, and the entrance to the tomb is from here. We're gonna just walk over there, and we're gonna have a look at the entrance. As you can see, normally this is the entrance, and you can see because of the corona, it's closed because it's an enclosed area. And when we don't have the corona, there will be a queue about nearly half a kilometer long for people try to get in to have a look at this tomb. The tomb is right inside. There's a chamber, there's a chamber at the front, and then another chamber afterwards. This is where the grave is. But now, if you follow me, I will show you a real grave dated back from the 1st century.
This is known as the Rotunda. It's you can actually walk all the way around the tomb, and we have little niches. Some of them are offices, some of them are little churches, and this is yet another church.
This is a.
This is as I said, this is a little Coptic, minute little place, little altar inside, and the Coptic are the people who came from Egypt. They are Egyptians. They live in Israel. They are priests living in Israel, and on this side of the tomb is believed to be the head of Jesus. So now we're entering into yet another church, and this is the Syrian Jacobian. Syrian Jacobian, it had a fire in the past, and we have something called the status quo in Israel, and it's in other words, like you have to status quo, meaning present situation. You have to leave everything as it is, as it was. You don't touch it, including the altar. You can see the altar is burnt out. And here, the interesting part is this little niche in there, and these are real original graves dated back from the 1st century, and this is how people were buried. There's little niches inside. Normally a couple, it's like a man and his wife next to it. I'm going to put some lights on. And within the whole complex of the Holy Sepulchre, they discovered over 20 graves. Reason why? Because the area of the Holy Sepulchre used to be a quarry, and we're going to see the quarry later on. And after the death of King Herod, building construction work is kind of stopped. So this place was used as a burial ground. Anyway, so this is the Syrian Jacobian, and on Sundays they do services here, and the service is done in Aramaic, which is the old language spoken during Jesus' time. Aramaic. It's very similar to Hebrew. It sounds much similar to Hebrew, but the letters are totally different. There are communities throughout the world who pray in Aramaic. Some of them are in northern Iraq today. Some of them are in Australia. I came across many people who literally, they pray in all the liturgies in Aramaic. Now we're gonna continue walking into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. This is the part, this is the door, this is the main Catholic part of the Holy Sepulchre. Let's get closer. Yeah.
The Church of the Holy Sepulchre is divided
so these are the different orders. As I said, this is the Greek, the Catholic. You can see this is the organ, and also next to it we have confession booths. These are the confession booths. And here there's something interesting, if I'm going to stop it. The Catholic Church in Israel are mainly Franciscans after Saint Francis of Assisi. And this is the logo. This is like the symbol they use. One hand is the hand of Jesus, and the other hand is the hand of Saint Francis. And the hand of Saint Francis, you can see he's got a sleeve. And this is the type of clothing, the type of uniform the priests wear, the Franciscan priests, exactly the same as the dress of Saint Francis. But when you look very closely, you will see also they have a hole inside. So this is the Jesus hand with a hole when he was crucified. And they say also Saint Francis developed a hole because he had what's known as stigmata. Another cross over here. This is I'm going to stop it. This is the cross. You can see one cross with 4 crosses. Again, this is a very symbolic of the Franciscan. It represents the 5 holes of Jesus's body. You know, the 2 hands and the sword that went into his body by the Roman soldier to make sure that he died on the cross at the time. As I said, it's a big place, the Holy Sepulchre, and we're going to continue walking around the Rotunda and until we get into yet another part of the church is the Armenian. Here you go. So this is the walking. You can see these pillars, and you can see also these pillars, 2 different periods. The round pillars are really from the time of the Crusaders, and the old ones are the time from the Byzantine. So here is a mixture of 2 different periods of the church history. Along the church, we will also notice a few niches, and the niches belonging to the Armenian, some of them, and some of them to the Greek Orthodox. So anyway, we're gonna walk around the Rotunda. Some of these niches, they have little monuments, like a small little pillar. They believe this is the pillar where Jesus was tied up before he was crucified, while the cross was being prepared. Now we're going to go down. We're going to go down into this Armenian section of the church. It's down. All the walls on these sides are full with the graffiti, the little crosses. These crosses are made by different pilgrims throughout the ages. Today, of course, you don't put any graffiti. I think here you can hear me better. This is the floor. This is the main floor of the Armenian church. It's a beautiful mosaic, and we're gonna hear about it.
The connection of Armenia biblically is Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark were rested after the deluge, rested on Mount Ararat. And if you look over here, you will see the Ark And on the ark, he had pairs of animals. You can see here pairs of animals all the way around the mosaics. And in the middle of this mosaic, we can see little medallions showing the certain and few churches in Armenia.
These are the four evangelicals at the top. And would you believe this is actually sticks out on the roof of yet another part belonging to the Ethiopian church. So now we're going to descend to the lowest point of the church on the next frame, the next film, and we will see. Here you go.
We are really at the very, very bottom of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and it says this is the church known as the Church of St. Helen, or Helena. She had a problem finding the cross, and it was here who she looked and looked and looked and looked, and finally she found 3 crosses. She didn't know which one it was the real cross, so it so happens there was a man who just died, so she started putting the crosses on him. And when she put the right cross, this man became alive again. And here she is, she's standing there holding the cross. It's called finding the true cross. Actually, as a matter of fact, in Ethiopia, there is a day where they actually celebrate that day. It's normally September, if I'm not mistaken. One other thing very, very interesting is, remember I was telling you that this is a quarry? I'd like you to go and have a look at this. You can see, this is the bedrock of Jerusalem. You can see the bedrock, you can see how they cut the stones, how they block the stones, and I want you to go up to the top and you can see even how the bedrock is cut into a semicircle. They use special tools to cut the semicircular to construct the buildings. And this is a classic quarry dated back really from, I don't know, around the 1st century. An old quarry. In fact, if you come even closer, you will see chisel marks. See, just chisel marks over there. Chisel marks. Yeah, and this is how they.
Okay, now we're gonna leave the church, and we're gonna walk towards the Jewish quarter. This is again through the bazaar of the old city. I will leave the atmosphere for you to hear. They're very short. Okay, and that will lead us all the way, and then we're gonna walk straight, and we're gonna end up in the Jewish quarter, and we're gonna be standing by the Western Wall. So now the second thing is the Western Wall. Here you go. Let's see.
We are looking
I'm going to close it down because it's very distracted. So the Western Wall is nearly 500 meters long, but what you're looking at now is only a part of it. And this section here is the open section from here up to till about here. This is open 24/7. Doesn't matter who you are, what you are, what time, what season, rain, snow, it doesn't matter. You go, and this is the part that it's open for everybody to go and pray, or put a little piece of paper inside, like a little wish to say, you know, I wish something that is full for all those little crevices. The little holes are full with little papers. These papers, by the way, are not thrown into the rubbish. They get collected and they are actually buried on top of the Mount of Olives. This is the Mount of Olives here at the top. So we were standing there, but now we moved and now we are looking at the Western Wall. And so you can see also, because of the corona, they constructed little cubicles here. Yeah, they call them capsules, small little capsules, and restricting the amount of people coming into these capsules in order to pray because of the corona. We tried to sort of get as close as possible, but it was so full and it became not suitable. This is a bridge. You see this bridge, and this is really open for visitors to go up to only to walk on the platform at the top for visitors from Sunday till Thursdays. I think there's another clip for the Western Wall. This is taken from a different angle. You can see over here on the top of the platform, the Al-Aqsa Mosque. That's the southern part of Jerusalem over there. The Dung Gate is here. This is yet another gate to enter into the old city. All that at the top is the Mount of Olives, and this is here is the Dome of the Rock, and that is the final close-up here of the Western Wall. You can see it's really from here. This is the open part. These are buildings. When the Mamluks they came, they needed to construct some buildings, some houses, in order to go up and get into the platform at the top. So all these buildings are stuck on that wall all the way. And one way of touching this wall, if you go through like a little tunnel through here, it's called the Western Wall Tunnel, and you can walk and you can actually walk underneath these houses, and you can touch this wall until the end. And hopefully we will see you again. I don't know when this pandemic will finish, and then maybe we can do this walk. Let's continue with this clip. This is the final part of our tour. We did the Holy Sepulchre, we did the Western Wall in the Jewish Quarter, and yeah. So yeah, you can see there's some renovations and some new digs. Jerusalem is full of digs. Every day there's something new. There's also the city of David. This will take me a day to take you there, and it's it's a dynamic archaeological site. And wait a minute. And thank you. Hope to see you soon. And then we will do the walking tour to Jerusalem.
Wow, Joe, bravo. How nice. Thank you so much for taking us to this great walking. And I have to tell you that everybody is writing here. Cynthia, thank you, Joe. Dr. Retu, well presented. Wendy, how this is amazing. Oliver, very nice, etc. Really great. Well, prepare for the next one already. Okay, we have short time for any question. Is there any question in the heart of somebody? There are no written questions. Well, for everybody, you should know we will upload the video on our YouTube page. I'll put it again here in the chat. Okay, so in a few days, and tomorrow maybe, okay, you will find it there. Somebody has a question. No questions? You are astonished, I know.
This is really, I must admit, this is really my first time ever I'm doing something virtual. You know, normally I'm with people, you have the chemistry, you have the walking, you have the smells of the spices, it's the energy of Jerusalem. Is something very special. I've been to Jerusalem, I can't really remember how many times, but every time I go there, I get, energized. And so really, this is the first time I'm doing it in front of a computer.
But I wish that we can see you again in real, face to face. And really, I would like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a happy 2021, and healthy, and keep healthy and stay safe.
Well, there are some questions in the meantime. So Timothy is asking, he has been in Jerusalem. How nice. So we were told that the Jews only have access to the Western Wall. Why is it this so? Is it real? Joe, your mic is...
Okay. The Western Wall, as I said, the Western Wall is accessible 24/7 and to everyone. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether you are Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, it doesn't matter. It's open to anyone, as I said, 24/7. You can go in and you can literally put your hands and you can touch the wall and say a little prayer and say a little wish. It's open to anyone. At the top, on the top of the platform, there are restrictions. There are restrictions. We have certain hours where non-Muslims, they can go up and to the top, and that's it. At certain days, from Sunday till Thursday, at certain hours. Friday, Saturday is closed, but for the Muslims, it's open all the time. Does that answer the question? Comment about the Ethiopian connection.
We have another. Thank you, Joe. Can you tell us a bit more about the Dung entrance? Wait, where was the question? Why is the Dung Gate called like this? Chico is asking.
Okay, all right. The Dung Gate is basically it's dung, it's rubbish, it's garbage, and they used to throw the rubbish from that gate, and this is why it's known as the Dung Gate until the present day. But I noticed also a very interesting question here about the connection of Ethiopia to Jerusalem. We have people from Ethiopia, I take it. So it's this is a very interesting part, because we go back into the time of King Solomon. King Solomon had a very important visitor. Her name was the Queen of Sheba. She came and to visit him, and this is mentioned in the Book of Kings. She came and visited him, and also she had a son from King Solomon, and this is really the main connection. And as for those of you who don't know, King Solomon had 1,000 wives. Yeah, so he handled 1,000 wives in those days. Now the connection of the Jerusalem to Ethiopia, it goes back into when his son, after Queen of Sheba went back to Ethiopia, his son came to visit, and this is I heard from people in Ethiopia when I was in Ethiopia, and his son, the father, being King Solomon, he gave him the ark. I'm talking about the Ark of the Covenant, and he said, please take this with you, and this is going to protect you, and all the way down to Ethiopia. So I went to Ethiopia, and until today, yeah, we don't have the ark, and we believe there is a belief that this ark is today in a place called Aksum in Ethiopia, and it's inside the monastery, and nobody can go to visit this monastery except for the priest who is in charge of this monastery. So that's the connection. It's a very nice, warm connection. I love it. Any more questions?
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, Patience is asking about the trees in the Gethsemane patio. If these trees were really at the time of Christ, of Jesus.
People do say it's from the time of Christ. Yeah, hence the Gethsemane, Gethshmanim in Hebrew. But you know, when these trees are checked, I mean, you can actually check the age of the tree. When it's checked by agronomists, they reckon no, it's around 900, maybe 1,000 years old. It's not 2,000 years old, but they're old. They are very old. Believe me, when you see a tree of 950 to 1,000 years old, it's a very old tree. We have some of these trees actually up in the Galilee, not many, but they do exist. Okay. From the Seychelles we had, okay.
Sorry. I suppose here are people asking about virtual archaeological tours, and I suppose you can find a lot of things. Put in the Google visiting Jerusalem, you will find a lot of.
Yeah, I must add. I must add of a new digs is taking place today in the city of David, which is really just behind, like not behind, it's like from the southern wall of the temple, where you saw the southern wall and the stairs, and that leads into what we call today the city of David. We discovered not long ago the street, the main road, a Roman road that led all the way from the Siloam pool and all the way to the temple. All this was full with garbage, full with rubbish, and the houses were built on top. So we are today, as I speak, we are digging underneath these houses. We are supporting these houses with arches. Steel arches is the most incredible project you can ever imagine. And then all of a sudden you come across these huge, big stones dated back really from the time of the Romans, intact, simply because they were all covered with debris and rubbish and etc., and not facing the elements. So now we are exposing them, and it is it's going to be open shortly. They say sometimes next year, end of next year, and this is what it's going to be called the Pilgrim Street, all the way up to the old city of Jerusalem, or up to where the temple used to be. Okay.
So maybe this is an interesting question, a bit another point of view about the water supply to the city.
Okay.
Can you say some words about it?
Are you talking the water supply today, or are you talking the water supply then, no. During the temple period?
I suppose at the temple time, yeah.
Temple time. That's a very good question. Water supply is very important. In fact, one of the bridges that led into the temple, it's actually sort of a bridge was used for people to go across, but it was actually also on top of that bridge there used to be a canal or to carry the water. The water came from southern part of Jerusalem, in a place today until today is known as Solomon's Pools, collected water from rainfalls from the hills, and it actually carried these waters. This water was carried all the way to the temple. Today we can see ruins, we can see parts of these canals and these conduits in a fairly good condition, but what I'm saying is you only see bits of it, not the whole lot. Because water is important, and the Jews, don't forget, the Jews, they used it for the mikveh, for the purification purposes. Okay.
Great, Joe. I think we will put your mail here in the chat.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Maybe you will be invited for other tours. Who knows? Well, in the meantime, I will ask everybody to stay with us for a few minutes. We will do brindis. We will
raise it a toast. You mean
a toast? A toast. This is my Spanish side. We will do a toast for this new coming year. So come.
Okay.
So we will be here together, okay? And in the meantime, I will put Joe's email so you can contact him. And maybe for the moment, Judith, do you want to say hello to your people?
Just a moment. Judith, unmute yourself.
We don't hear you?
עכשיו כן, okay. Hello everybody, all MASHAV family. So great to see you all. Those from all the different centers and those from the METC. I'm so happy to see you all, and really, 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 it was very exciting, Joe. Oh, where he went. Joe, it was really exciting. And I understand what you went through, and it is really, really was very, very nice. And really to wish you all very, very happy Christmas and a better and better New Year than this one that we went through, and to go on as you know to do it. And a huge hug for everybody with a lot of happiness, love, and health. Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming to Jerusalem. It was great having you here. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, everybody there.
Thank you, Judith. Okay, and hello from Haifa. Please, Nuria.
Okay, I think you can hear me now. So thank you so much, MATC, for this wonderful tour. I really have enjoyed it very, very much. I haven't been to Jerusalem in so long. I feel like one of you, one of the participants. I feel exactly like you. It's been so long. So I wanted to wish you all a lovely festive season. I really hope you all have a very healthy and happy 2021. And I hope you'll be able to travel everywhere you want to, and hopefully here in Israel with us. So all our love, a big hug to all of you, and to all my colleagues. Great job, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Nuria. And okay, let's raise a glass of wine. Okay.
Do a toast.
A toast. Friends, for everybody, very, very Merry Christmas and a happy, happy New Year with a lot of health, and hope to see you soon. Ora. Thank you for being with us. Wait, you know what? We will open, wait, we will make you allow to unmute you. Okay, so Happy New Year for everybody!
Happy New Year! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, everyone!
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
Bye-bye!
Thank you! Thank you!
Bye-bye!
MATC! Thank you!
Happy New Year! Bye-bye!
Happy New Year from India!
From Nairobi, Kenya.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Happy New Year! Bye-bye from Ghana!
Merry Christmas from Malawi!
From Angola!
Thank you!